What's up, Lazy Dog fam? Hope everybody out there is having a fantastic day. Still no rain here in South Georgia, although I watched it rain north of us all day yesterday. I could see the clouds over that way. They never made it here, but at least it is cloudy today, not near as hot as it could be. Got some work to do on our popcorn. Need to go ahead and side dress and lightly heel that before we do get some rain, hopefully tomorrow. Got some tending to do on our okra. And who knows what else we might get into today in the garden. On the last video, we came here and thinned this popcorn, and it is popping. These heat units like they are, this stuff grows fast. I just came in here with a wheel hoe and cleaned up the middles there. Got some of that crabgrass taken care of. And I usually would wait till it's a little taller. It's only about 12 inches tall now. I usually wait till it's a little taller to side dress and heel it, but we'll be using some organic fertilizers and they take a little longer, so I want to go ahead and get some down, especially before this rain comes tomorrow. Now you might recall with our sweet corn several videos ago, we tried side dressing that with some organic nature safe, and I think it's 1300 fertilizer, and that worked really well for us. So that's what we're going to try to use on this corn here. We put down some of the Nature Safe 855 at pre-plant, and now we want to give it some more nitrogen, but I'm also going to give it some more of that 855, I think, too. So my general kind of fertilization strategy for everything in the garden is put down a balanced fertilizer at planting or a little bit before planting, especially if it's organic. Give it some time to start breaking down. And then you've got certain crops that are extra heavy feeders that are going to need some extra shots of just nitrogen along the way. But I use a balanced fertilizer pre-plant on everything, and then for those crops that have additional needs, we'll give them a formulation that fits those needs later down the road. Sweet potatoes, for example, we'll give those some extra potassium once they get going. So on this corn here, what I'm going to do is on one side of the row, let's just say on the left side of each row, I'm going to side dress with that 855, and then on the right side of the row, I'm going to put that 1300. So we're going to kind of double whammy it here, and then we're going to heel it with the wheel hoe. And because this corn is still kind of small, I think I'm going to have to be careful not digging those plow blades in all the way. Maybe just kind of have to lift up on it a little bit so that I don't want to cover those plants completely or knock them over, putting so much dirt up beside them. So I'm just going to be real easy, probably just dig the plow blades in halfway, just enough to get a little mound there, suppress some of those weeds in the row, and cover up that fertilizer we put down. So this is the stuff we'll be using, this 855, which I've just poured into a 5-gallon bucket here. You can see that pelleted, looks like animal feed, and then there's the 1300. It looks exactly the same. Now, one thing I have noticed about using this type of fertilizer, really the only downside to it is that the critters will get into it. You can see there's something's been gnawing in the bottom of that bag. So I got to get me some trash cans out here and just store it in a trash can just like you would chicken feed or something like that. And that's going to work a lot better than keeping it in these bags that something can get into. Anyway, let's get this beside the plants and get them healed up.
Surrounded by the universe with the moon and Mars, I feel it. Will you stay with me under the moonlight? We'll be magical as we dream. You won't know till you try.
All right. Ain't that a pretty sight? Now I did get my fertilizer band a little too wide there in some spots, so I didn't get it quite all healed into the middle there, but it'll be all right. I think it's close enough to help that corn. Another thing I've noticed about using this Nature Safe fertilizer so far is it seems to condition the soil really well. Now this soil here has a good bit of compost in it, but considering how dry it's been, this stuff would normally be just kind of baked hard, but I guess all the microbial activity that fertilizer encourages really helps soften the soil. At least that's what I'm seeing so far. So just to give you an idea of how much fertilizer we used per row, this is my kind of side dressing jug here. This is a 1/2 gallon container, And if you watch a lot of my videos, you know I'm really not into kind of measuring things out. But anyway, for the 855, I used a whole one of these per 30-foot row on one side. For the 1300, another whole one of these for the other side of the 30-foot row. And then when we did the pre-plant before planting, I used a whole one of these, the 855 per 30-foot row. That's probably plenty. You could probably get by with less than that. Just works nice for me to fill this up and empty it out by the time I get to the end of the row. So we're doing a little bit of an experiment here to see if we can grow corn without using any synthetic fertilizers. And it's not because I'm opposed to synthetic fertilizers. I've got some 2020 underneath the 2020 underneath the barn, and I'm not scared to use it if I have to, if I see some plants need a quick shot. When you're growing corn, which is pretty demanding on the soil, when you get through growing corn, especially if you're using all synthetic fertilizers, it can leave your soil in some pretty pitiful shape. Now, we use a lot of cover crops around here that can help, you know, restore it, certainly. But I'm trying to not leave it in such bad a shape once I get done with this corn. So we're going to try to see if we can grow it all organically. Now, if it starts looking like it needs a pop, I'll shoot some 2020 through that drip system, no questions asked. But we're going to see if we can do it all organically. Now, I probably will inject some fish emulsion through the drip system in a few weeks just to give it another little shot. But we're just going to see how this goes, see if it stays nice and green, and see if we can get away without adding any synthetics and still growing a nice crop of popcorn. All this talk about corn got me hungry. Look at there. We're getting mighty close. I've been coming and checking this stuff every day, and I believe it's time for a daily sampling. That ear right there looks pretty dang good. Let's see what we got. All right, moment of truth. Hopefully I don't make myself look silly here. So we grew an all yellow variety called Yellowstone. First yellow corn I've grown in a while. I've been growing a lot of bicolors and white corns lately. But look at there. It don't look too bad right there, does it? Let me get a little closer. The tip of it hasn't quite plumped up and filled out yet. But looks like we got some really good pollination there. Let's give her a sample. Man, that is sweet. That is sweet. Don't grow a super sweet variety of corn if you don't like sweet corn. But if you like sweet corn, man, these super sweets are the way to go. And I like them because you get an extended harvest window. So when this stuff is ready, and it's very close now. Those kernels could plump up just a hair bit more. It was very close now. We got about 10 days we can play with as far as getting it all out of here. Whereas if you grow something like a Silver Queen, one of the standard varieties, you got to be on top of your game as far as getting it and processing it before it gets kind of starchy. The more sugar that's in the corn, the longer the window you got to pick it, give it away, process it, whatever you're going to do with it. But man, right, you don't even need to cook that right there. Just fine like it is raw. We're gonna put up a good bit of this in the freezer, and hopefully we can get some footage when we do that. But I think I'm gonna give this a few more days. Probably today's Saturday, probably early to mid next week. It's gonna be corn gathering time. And now I need to tend to this okra here. I need to harvest it and get it cleaned up a little bit. But before we do that, I need a little help from the okra experts out there, and I'm gonna tell y'all a little story. So I got 3 varieties I planted, not counting that heirloom variety a viewer sent me that's just on up about that tall right now. I've got this Jing orange. I know what that is. This is a good tasting okra. Really enjoyed it so far. I got these 2 green varieties here, and I planted one called Perkins Long Pod and one called Emerald Green Velvet, I believe. Now they look very similar, but one has more ridges on it. I don't know if you can see right there. That one has more ridges on it. This one here is pretty dang smooth, and I can't for the life of me figure out which is which. So if you know which okra is which is the Perkins Long Pod, which is the Emerald Green Velvet, please let me know in the comments below. Both of them are really good. Both of them seem to remain tender at longer lengths, which I like, but I don't know which is which, so please help me. And truthfully, I haven't been on a very good okra picking schedule. Haven't been real diligent as scheduled about it as I'd like to be. I usually don't let them get this long. But all these varieties I'm growing this year, like I said, stay tender at longer lengths, so it's not been a huge issue. I've just been coming out here and picking it whenever I think about it, every 3 or 4 days or so. Which brings me to something I've had a lot of people asking in some of the videos where we've talked about our okra, why I'm not growing Jambalaya okra this year. And in my previous career, I did lots and lots of videos telling people why Jambalaya okra was so great. And I will still attest to this day that it is the most productive okra variety I have ever seen. However, because I didn't grow it this year, I have learned some things, or at least one big thing about that Jambalaya okra. Now, one thing about it, one downside to it that some people don't like, it starts producing at 12 to 18 inches tall. So those first few pickings, you're gonna be stooping over to cut your okra. The second thing is, when it gets bigger than that right there, it starts getting tough. You pick a Jambalaya okra pod that long, it's gonna be hard as a rock. So you got to pick it every other day. If you get a lot of rain, you might have to pick it every day. So it has to be picked a lot more frequently. But if you're growing for market or you're selling okra, which we were doing every year up to this year, it's a really good variety to grow because it's going to produce a lot. If you're selling it, you're going to have plenty of okra to sell. However, I noticed this year from picking this stuff that Jambalaya okra is the itchiest okra you will ever grow. This stuff here, I've been out here in my tank top picking it, haven't even felt least bit of itching sensation when I get through picking it. Last year there was a couple times I was picking that Jambalaya okra and I got in a mess. Now I'm talking about a mess. I didn't realize it till I got through picking it, and then all of a sudden I just kind of broke out and I started sweating. I run in the house there. Brooklyn was wondering what was going on with me. I ran in there, got in a cold shower, got me a loofah sponge, and I was just scrubbing up and down trying to get them okra spurs out of my arms, and it like never went away. And after that I had to kind of suit up to pick the stuff. I just thought it was me being a weenie. Some people react more to those okra spines or little prickly things than others. And I just thought, well, maybe I'm getting older. Maybe I'm just a little bit of an okra weenie now. But I know now that it was that Jambalaya okra that's so dang itchy and stings you up so bad. So if you're going to pick that stuff and you get bothered by them okra spines, make sure you suit up, long sleeve shirt, everything. I had to wear gloves. Man, it just started giving me fits. It got worse the hotter it got outside. And I have sure enjoyed being able to come out here and pick this okra and not have to wear a long sleeve shirt or gloves and suit up and everything, and not just feel like just my skin's on fire afterwards. So I don't know that I'll grow any more Jambalaya okra. I'm not telling you you shouldn't grow it. It's a great variety, produces a lot, but I think from now on I'll grow some of these varieties that don't produce as much, but that don't burn me up as much. Now what I'm about to do here is not something you've got to do by any means, and it will decrease the productivity of your plants a little bit, but it's just something I like to do. I like, when I'm picking okra, I don't like to have to look for it. I like it to all be at the top right here. I don't care about all this side production right here. I also like everything at the bottom be relatively clean. Makes it a lot easier for me to weed down there. So what I like to do is, at some point when it gets about this tall, I like to come in here and prune these bottom limbs there. And that way, when I'm cutting okra, go ahead and get that one, save that okra right there. When I'm cutting okra or picking okra, I can see them all right there at the top. Now yes, this will make your okra plants get taller quicker, but I've got plenty of room in other spots. I can plant me another round of okra when this stuff gets tall. Some people will do the exact opposite of this. And when their okra gets 3 or 4 foot tall, they'll cut the top out of it because they like it big and bushy. I don't like to have to walk around the plant, look for it. I like to zip up and down the rows, find it right on the top there, and go about my business. So this is just the way I like to do it. This is not a steadfast rule, but it works good if you like to have your okra at the top here and don't like fighting through all that foliage to pick it. Now you ain't got to agree with me, and it's okay if you don't, but that right there looks a lot better and it's a lot more manageable and makes it a lot easier to pick our okra. And we got us a nice little harvest in the process there. Now as far as pruning anymore, as I'm picking it, probably every other picking, I'll just use my hands and I'll strip some of those lateral branches off there. Once that root system's nice and tough, you ain't got to worry about messing up or pulling up that plant. I like to use the pruners the first time, but we'll just strip them off with our hands as we go every couple times we harvest, and keep everything clean there, keep everything on top as far as our okra production goes. So if you also like to prune the okra like I do, give me a hell yeah in the comments below. And now for a little mater picking. We got some big maters getting ready there. There's a little Abe Lincoln. And I know these things are supposed to get big, but that's a baby right there, but it looks pretty tasty. I'll let it get nice and vine ripe. And we got us a nice looking German Johnson right here. It ain't quite vine ripe, but I believe I'll let that guy finish up in the house. It's just too pretty to leave out here where something could happen to it. And now I'm really excited about trying this here Kellogg's breakfast mater. Get all that out of the way. Maybe you can see there's a big one right there. I think I'm gonna leave that on there to get a little more yeller, but that's gonna be a good mater right there. We got some of those that are pretty good size. And then on in here we got a couple of these lemon boys that look pretty good. There's one right there, and there's a nerdin right there. Got some good color on it. And we got some purple boys here, need to be got. Smaller ones, but very pretty looking tomatoes there. Those are really tasty. I had one of those the other day. Look at that color on there. Isn't that pretty? These here ain't quite there, but I'm gonna go ahead and grab them, let them finish up inside. And then lastly, we got some pretty good sized better boys right here. That one's the skin up a little bit. It'd still eat though. Little deformity there on that guy. Let's check these here. There you go, that's a much prettier tomato right there. So a nice little color medley of tomatoes there. I even found some of these determinate paste type tomatoes. I couldn't get in there with a camera because it's so thick, but some of those are starting to get ready. That's a nice looking paste tomato there. I think that is the Invincible variety, but I really got my eye on this guy. I think it needs to go on some bread right now. Now if you're gonna do this, you gotta do it right. You need to have the right kind of mayonnaise. Around here, it's Duke's mayonnaise. Now I understand some parts of the country are partial to blue plate mayonnaise. I got a buddy that went to law school at LSU, and he says down there they swear by blue plate. So I'll let you people over in Baton Rouge slide, but everybody else, you need to be using the right kind of mayonnaise. Also, you need to make sure you follow official garden rule number 41. Don't be peeling your maters. Breaks my heart to see somebody peeling a fresh tomato. This knife right here ain't the sharpest knife, but it's gonna work. Get some nice thick slices here. That's a pretty tomato right there. So got some bread. We're about out of mayonnaise. I'm gonna have to get on to my wife about that. Maybe we get enough here to make it work. I could use a little more mayonnaise on there, but somebody's gonna have to go to the grocery store. I usually like to put a bunch of salt and pepper on these, but with this particular lemon tomato here, I kind of want to see what the flavor of it's like. So I'm going to go without any salt and pepper this time. Let's see how she tastes. That's a fine tomato right there. Not a whole lot of acidity to it, what you expect with these yellow tomatoes like this right here. And some people can't handle the acidity of tomatoes. And if it bothers you, gives you heartburn or whatever, you might want to try some of these orange or yellow ones. But that's got a nice sweet taste to it. Really, really good tomato. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video out in the garden. Don't forget to tell me which one of those okra varieties is which, if you know. And also give me some suggestions on what okra varieties to try next. Now I've tried a bunch of them over the years. I've tried Clemson Spineless, Jambalaya, Cowhorn, Silver Queen, Star David. At least those 5, in addition to the 3 I have planted now. The Gene Orange, the Emerald Green, and the Perkins. But if there are any others you'd like to see me try, let me know in the comments below. And if you got some links to where I can find the seeds, give me that as well. And we'll be planting another succession round of okra pretty soon. And I'll try to plant some of those varieties you guys suggest. Don't forget to subscribe, ring the bell, like, and share. And we'll see you next time right here at Lazy Dog Farm.
Oh, farewell. By the beauty of your life,